Listen, son, to all the sons out there. You can be anything you want to be. Keep God first and love yourself, love your family, and chase your dreams. Welcome to the Listen, Son podcast.
Listen, everybody. Ever since I know I got introduced to basketball, you know your dudes, you know Money, you know a couple other teammates that we had growing up with that we played basketball with. But ever since I was in any organized basketball league, it was two other people that I remember being in those same leagues as me. And no matter how you feel about it, you're looking because you notice them because they got game, you know. And it just so happened to be Tierra Bender and Terri Bender, known as Suge. And I'll tell you, they've been with it as long as I can be known. I've been doing the grind. Money been doing the grind. They've been doing the grind too. So it's good to have them. Glad to have you guys here. As always, Uncle Rick up there. What's up, Uncle Rick?
All right.
With the Bucks. See what they do tomorrow. Money.
Yeah.
What's up? T, how you doing?
Yo, it's great to be here.
All right, it's good.
What's up? Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Good. So as always, man, y'all know different. All right, it's a Listen Son podcast, so everybody probably gonna be wondering, but we already explained to them, man. It's levels to this. So how did y'all start off with basketball or with sports in general? You know, Tierra, you can go first. Suge, you can go first, and then the others just play off each other.
Okay. Well, I remember watching my brother. We have an older brother, and I was born first, and so me and my brother are 7 years apart. And I just remember looking at him, one coming off the bus, and then me waiting like, Real's here, right? And then we go right outside, or we go to the little hoop in the house or whatever, and we just be shooting. And from there, it went from socks using the hangers, you know, on the door to dribbling in the basement, and then burrows. From burrows on to AAU. You know, what'd you say?
You got a court in the backyard. You can't forget
that. True. Very true. Court in the backyard before they had the little the things where they hit you and everything. My brother would use blankets. He'd get like 3 blankets and be hitting us in the backyard with us, so getting us tough. And on top of that, we were the only girls on the block, so we had no choice but to get in where we fit in, or you weren't gonna play. So basketball has pretty much been around since we were kids, and my brother is definitely one of the ones that put the ball in our hands and helped cultivate that and nurture it. And Suge came along, and she just came and rocked with it, and we were just the tag team duo.
Really, I mean, I came along. It was like I almost didn't have a choice. They was doing it. I want to try. I want to do it. And L'Real, like she said, he really was big in that. He was an awesome big brother. You know, a lot of big brothers with little sisters, they don't want nothing to do with them. But he was bringing us along to everything. It didn't matter where he was going for real. He didn't mind spending time with us, working with us. He was patient with us, and he took pride in it. And so I think that played a huge role, and that's kind of where it started. And it kept going from there.
See, I like it. We didn't even have to prompt the question. They knocking out questions, you know. So L'Real, they gave you your flowers, and that's like I said, it's levels to it. All the sons out there with little sisters, you can't have an influence. You can't have an impact. All right. So like we started out growing up, you know, how was it, you know, being the only really ladies in some programs, you know, AAU. Take us through that before we get to the high school aspect.
Sure, go ahead.
It was just always a competition. No matter, it was always somebody that see us. They knew we played basketball. It was always a boy, and it was, I beat you in 1-on-1. And it's like, dude, I'm not even on that right now. Like, why are you just really trying to prove a point? It was almost like the boys always wanted to prove a point that they were better than us. And we were just, you know, 2 young girls humble. And it was like, okay, if you want to play, we can play. Let's do it. But when we get done, you're going to be quiet.
Every time. I mean, we would be at the Y. My mom would drop us off at the Y all day in the summer. I mean, we would go from hooping to swimming to the racket courts. and then back to hooping, we be in our flip-flops, and dudes would just come up to us like, y'all can't beat me though, or whatever else. And it's just like, I mean, we done did everything already. I mean, I'm tired, but I still whoop you. Like, it's no problem at all.
It
So
was
it's
like we
always
always had to prove a point.
mm-hmm.
And we were proving our points.
I bet that get draining at times too. So yeah. We gonna get into some of that. So who was up with one of the high school questions? I think that was that Uncle Rick? Was that what you want to know? Was it money?
Yep, and some other things. But
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, in high school, I know you guys got a state championship. What year was that you won the state championship?
2010.
2010. Okay, yeah, because I used to. I know your cousin Mark. You know Mark Harris?
Mm-hmm.
Mark. Yeah, that's a real good friend of mine. Yeah, he was telling me I gotta see y'all. And I said, okay, man, let's do this. And I knew you were playing at a younger age there, but when you got to high school, your names got out there real tough. So I had to come see how tough you were, and you lived up to everything I thought that you did. And also, I'd like to welcome you to Listening Sons podcast, because this is a groundbreaking interview for us, because we had guys all the way up until this point, and this is history making for us because you're the first ladies, sisters at that, and on the podcast today. And what we're trying to do is let people know that we're well-rounded with these interviews. We're not just it's Listen Son, but we're taking everything on. So one of my questions to you, are you ladies still working out now? Are you still involved in basketball, or you went into your professional lives only?
I have just picked up a basketball again. I put it down a couple times here and there, simply because I had 2 knee injuries in college. And so that injuries just kind of shape your mind a little differently. It's more mental than physical, like getting your body back. And so I've tried semi-pro, stuff like that. But here recently, I've just fallen in love with the game all over again. Here in Milwaukee, I saw a basketball court in my neighbor's yard, just walking one day. And I was like, man, I wonder if it's for sale. And so anyways, I wrote a letter to the neighbor, put it in their mailbox, and they were like, you can have it. Just come pick it up. And so came, picked it up, and now I got it in the backyard, and I've been shooting every day. The first day I got it, I was like, let me just see what I got still. So I shot 10 shots from 5 different spots, and I did it 3 times. And I kept track of all my shots or whatever, how many makes or how many misses I got. And I ended up at 51% from 3. And what's crazy is I didn't realize like how far I was, but I measured it and I was exactly at the 3-point line. So it was just like, this is just kind of nutty. Like, you don't lose it. Muscle memory is just gonna be there. So now the love is coming back for the game. But before that, I was doing a little bit of coaching. I'm trying to get on the software side of things and try and get more kids involved in like training and knowing what it's like to like feed your body like while you're training, and getting things together so you're not just out here playing on an empty stomach or just Gatorade and Wendy's from up the street, like knowing what it really looks like to be an athlete and healthy at that.
Keyword healthy. And Suge, I'd like to hear that from you too. What's your response to that?
So mine's a little different. So I also had the same injury my senior year in college. I tore my ACL. And I think that's when really my life changed. Because up until then, honestly, all I knew was basketball. All I knew was basketball and going to school. And I'm like, it really just opened my mind up. So I had to figure out what else I was good at. For so long, I just lived in this box, and it was just basketball. That's all I knew. I'm going pro, and then that's just gonna be that. And then I got injured, and I couldn't play. And it was at a critical point in my career. It was my senior year. And so a lot of people don't know this. I got a master's degree. And so it was in my master's program that I discovered some of my other talents and what I was passionate about and what I was good at. And so I don't play basketball anymore. I don't. And after I graduated, it seemed like something. I was working out heavy, trying to do my thing to get overseas. Opportunity came and I turned it down. And here's why, and I'll tell you why. It sounds crazy, but it was the right decision for me to make. I felt like I was doing it because it was expected of me. Everybody knew me as a basketball player. Nobody knew me as anything else outside of basketball. I was done at peace with basketball. I was done with it. I didn't have another point to prove. I broke records. I won championships. I got school paid for. I got 2 degrees for free. I was good with it. I was at peace with it, but it felt like something I should be doing because it was expected. So for other people per se. And then finally I just put it down and I felt better, honestly. It was almost like a weight was lifted. So I love the game. I still love it. I coached for a year and then I stepped away from it for good. And now I'm actually a child safety case manager. I work with kids in the foster care system, helping kids every day. And that's what I do. That's what I'm passionate about. I love my job and I love what I do.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because you always got to have a plan B. We all know I was an athlete. Everybody that's on this podcast was an athlete, and you have to have a plan B because it's life after sports.
Exactly.
Although we all have that dream, but hey, you got to come down to reality one day. And that sounds good. Thank you, ladies, for answering my questions.
No problem. Life happens fast, so that plan B is critical.
And I think about loving basketball. That scene where Monica in the living room, just sitting there, and she overseas, and she like, it seemed like that's kind of what your experience would have been like. Why am I over here?
I would have been miserable.
Yeah. So I'm glad you went. And Tierra did some stuff with the football team where I'm at around yoga. So y'all definitely, man, y'all really in tune with the mental side of the game, and that's I'm with y'all on that 100%. Let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about that championship run. You know what I'm saying? Y'all won the state. What was that like? And then it's a 2-parter though. What was it like winning the state championship? And I think y'all took it away from one of the city programs.
Yeah, we did. Vincent.
Yeah. So what was it like playing against kids? Ladies y'all grew up with. Did y'all get some? Y'all ain't go to the city schools. Y'all, talk about it, man. Talk about it.
Ooh. I'm gonna start with this one. Well, first, people don't realize. So we went to Pius, obviously, right? We used to get a lot of questions like, why didn't you go to Vincent? I mean, one of our AAU coaches coached at Vincent. A lot of our AAU teammates went to Vincent. So we've known these girls our whole lives, basically. And honestly, it was more like my parents are very spiritual. My mom is a praying woman, okay? And in her prayer time, God just let her know, like, they're going to Pius. That's where they'll get the most exposure. And so that's where we went. And that's exactly what happened. We got amazing exposure. But in that time there's a lot that kind of went into that experience, the politics of it, the money aspect of it, not just from our side, but from the school side and like players and parents. And it's just a lot. So getting to that state championship took a lot of hardship, honestly, and took a lot of mental determination and just staying focused on the goal. The goal was to, one, get there, show out. A championship was definitely the goal after the year before because we lost by a buzzer beater to DSHA. And after that game, it was a great game, but we were tired. And I remember going to my coach the day after that Monday after the game. I think it was on a Friday or something. We didn't even shake hands with the team afterwards. Like, we were pissed. I just remember walking off the court. I probably smacked some popcorn out of a fan hand. Who knows? I was pissed. But that following Monday, I went to my coach and I was just like, we were tired. And if we weren't tired, we definitely would have won that game. And so I suggested that we run what we call the 32-4. That's 32 sprints in 4 minutes or under 4 minutes. once or twice a week. And so that's what we did. We got into the gym heavy that summer, did all that running and everything. We were just really focused as a team. And going into that 2010 year, we ended up going, I think, like 26-4 or something like that. But that Vincent game was probably the best. And I'm going to let Suge take it from here because she just had a phenomenal game. That game, yeah. Go ahead, Suge. Let them know.
Man, it was just fun. It was just the pressure of it. But at the same time, it was no pressure. If you know me, you know I don't really show too much emotion. I'm on the court. I know who we coming up against. I know what they're after, but I know who we after, and we about to take it from them. So that was the mindset. It was a fun game. That was such a fun game. We got to find that film and watch that too.
Definitely.
But like she said, I think the key for that win for us was we were in shape. We were playing on a college floor. And man, my coach, we ran a lot in practice. We really did, but that was a key thing for him. We were going to be in shape. When the fourth quarter came, we were not going to be tired, and that would never be the reason why we lost the game. And that fourth quarter came, and we outlasted them. We stayed disciplined in what we were doing, and we weren't tired. We were still running up and down the court, playing full court defense if we needed to, fast breaking when it was time to. And the game was over, and next thing you know, we won. Like, it was, it was a feeling I couldn't even describe. Honestly, that should have been a championship game, really, because then the championship game came, and it was just like, we beat them.
Right.
It wasn't as fulfilling, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
So my years might be a little off, but y'all didn't. That DSHA team didn't have a famous certain somebody team on it that year, did it?
No, her freshman year there, I was a senior.
Okay, cool. All right, money or pops? We at high school now. We got because if we go too far, we lose it. Who got a high school question? Who got a going into college question? Who got one?
Uncle Mike, you go ahead. Mine's is a little different, so.
Okay. Yeah, I got a couple questions, y'all. Y'all like family to me. Your cousin E, we best friends, and then your dad and Yolanda, y'all, they great people. Just we had good times together. Laurel, I watched Laurel. A lot of people don't know this, but I watched Laurel too. How much pressure, because Laurel was pretty good himself, and I'm glad you brought that up, T. How much pressure was it, coming, sometime in the household when one is succeeding like that? How much pressure was it on you and Suge to be successful?
We honestly had no choice, only because he was just our big brother. And so you just want to beat him, right? And so in trying to beat him, we ended up under that same umbrella of greatness. Right. And I don't know, in doing so, it just kind of came with the territory because we have worked so hard. And so he kind of set the standard, and then we just followed suit. Honestly, we didn't realize all the drills and things that we were doing were things that NBA players were doing, or that college coaches like Coach K and them were doing with their players. My brother is a true student of the game. The way he breaks down not just film, but like other players' games is just amazing. If you sit and watch a basketball game with him, you will walk away learning so much. I love hearing his commentary. He honestly could have, like, y'all could have him on here, y'all watching a game together, and just the commentary alone could be an episode. He set the standard, and so it just kind of made it easier for us to kind of go through the motions of the game because we already knew what it was like to play at such a high level. But it wasn't easy beating him. I probably only beat Laurel like a handful of times. It's still something that I tried to do, but that man, that's a bad man right there. I remember going to his games at Bayview, And he has a crazy story. I really think and his story isn't told enough, and he doesn't really even tell his story. But long story short, he had some ins and outs with his coach. Some, I don't know, some history or whatever with some of our family and the coach's family, whatever else. But the coach wouldn't play my brother. And so every time he would get in the game, I had never seen anybody pull up from the volleyball line consistently and make it. Mind you, he would come in off the bench, fourth quarter, third quarter, or whatever, not playing all game, pulling up, knocking them things down like it was nothing. My brother has just always been so advanced. And on top of that, he had skipped a grade too. So mind you, he's a lot younger than some of the players. His body isn't even fully developed and stuff, you know, and he's just out there playing like he belongs out there, and he belongs at a higher level. So my brother is just amazing, and he made it so easy, and he made the game so accessible. And like I said, he just set the standard.
He definitely set the tone, but one thing I wanted to say was that he didn't ever want us to feel pressure to do what he was doing.
Right.
Although I still did though, because that's my big brother and I want to make him proud. I don't want to let him down. And so that was when I was, you know, contemplating on putting the ball down, I was dreading having that conversation with my brother. And then I did it, and he was like, it's fine. All I ever wanted from you and T was to just be better than me. And y'all are. Point blank, period. That's all I wanted. Put it down if you want to put it down.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one more question. Thank y'all for being taking y'all busy time out to be on the podcast. Like Rick said at first, the women duo. On a lot of the episodes we have done, there was some second guessing on recruitment. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but as far as college, would you have done it differently, or are you satisfied with what you accomplished in recruitment, you know, as far as recruiting?
Definitely some things I would have done different. One of those things is not putting, you know, all my eggs in one basket. So there was a point in time my senior year, going into my senior year, there was a lot of different schools recruiting me, and I was entertaining a few. And then there was this one that came, one big one, Michigan State. I'll just tell the story. It was Michigan State. I go to the camp. It was the little elite camp. Go to the camp, get MVP of the camp, everything. So they invite me on an official visit. Like a day before the official visit, like they on my line heavy. So at this point, I'm like, I like it there. Like that's where I want to go. That's where I want to commit to. So I stopped talking to all the other schools. A couple of days before we're supposed to go on the official visit, I get a call. They decided to sign a 6'5" center. That was their last scholarship. I'm going into my senior year. Now I don't have nobody on the table. So I'm like, I'm not even sure, you know, what's about to happen. Then I had never even heard of UIC before they started recruiting me. And then that's kind of how that happened. So I mean, it was really an interesting story. I just got a piece of mail from them one day. And so now I'm like, well, I might as well go see what this is about. You know, so I'm open. So I go, beautiful campus. It's a Black coach. It's a woman coach. I'm like, I mean, it's two Black coaches, the head coach and the assistant coach, Black women. Like, I like that. I like the vision they have for the program. The program, not successful at all. So I'm like, this means I can be a part of something, building something. I can make my own name here. So I signed there. But yeah, definitely keep your options open until you're offered something. And then, you know what I mean? And it's signed on the dotted line, for real. Because things can change that fast. And that goes back to what I said, plan B.
Right.
Man, because I was sick.
Right. What about you, T?
I'm happy that I ended up at Concordia, even though I didn't see the vision at first. Concordia was a place that I didn't even know was recruiting me. Well, I knew they were recruiting me because they had came to a couple games, came to the house and stuff like that. But I was just like, whatever, you know, we're just entertaining the idea. But we had went to U of M, the University of Minnesota, for a visit, did the tour and everything, watched the practice, talked to the coaches. And I'm like, I don't like it here. It was way too big. And it just didn't seem like I would fit or know where to fit. The campus is like the third largest campus in the whole U.S. So I'm like, this is just a little too much. And my dad was like, well, let's go to Concordia. We right here. And it's literally like 15, 20 minutes away. And he was like, we right here. Let's just go to the practice. The coach said we can come. So we went. And I remember sitting there like, this is cool. And we started doing a little walk or a little tour. And I was like, Dad, if this was a Division I school and a little bigger, I would go here. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Whatever. We got in the car and that was that. And we had done a couple other visits, but it was a lot of like D1 mid-major schools or places that were just really far out, like North Dakota, Maine, just stuff that is like, I'm a city kid. I'm not finna go out here. Y'all got moose and all kinds of stuff. I don't want none of that. Okay. All I know is deer. Okay. And so yeah, last minute, I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I knew I didn't want to go to any of those schools that were far out. I felt like I would be one of the only minority kids on the team. And I just didn't like the idea of that. I've gone to a lot of schools like that. I'm like, I can't do this. And so Concordia was still there. And I signed kind of at the last minute. And it didn't feel good. I actually felt like I disappointed a lot of people because there was a lot of talk of me going to the Naval Academy, Michigan State, all kind of stuff. And it was just kind of expected for me to go to D1 or go D1. And long story short, I'm happy that I went to Concordia because it opened me up to so many things. I mean, I ended up being able to work with the Mayo Clinic doing cancer research, like I didn't even think that was something that I would be opened up to or willing to do. All those science is something I've always loved, but Concordia really nurtured that for me. If I was to do the recruiting process over again, I would start to, I would sell myself more because coaches can only do so much recruiting. There's thousands of kids out there, a lot of film to watch, and like highlights are just highlights. They aren't really your game. So I would start to put myself out there a little bit more. And Laurel would try and get me to do it, but I just didn't know how. And I didn't know what to say and like how to, provoke them to want to come and see me. And I would actually look into JUCOs. A lot of D1 schools actually prefer kids from JUCOs than freshmen, only because they know what it's like to be in that kind of atmosphere. They understand the scheduling, time management, etc., what it's like to work at a high level. It's not as much nurturing. So I think I would look into JUCOs that actually get a lot of D1 recruits.
To add to that, I think you made a good point. If I could give advice to, this younger generation, don't get caught up in the whole D1, D2, big names, mid-major thing. You got to go where it's a good fit for you because you got to be there for 4 years, dedicating you dedicate so much time to it. Your college experience is totally different from just the average person's. So you got to be happy there. You don't get caught up in the names and all that. And I also think the AAU circuit played a big role in the schools that were recruiting us. We were in the same, every summer we went to the same tournaments and it was the same coaches there. So I think our exposure was limited, honestly. We didn't go to a lot of big tournaments, and man, I had some killers on my team. Honestly, my AAU team played for Playground, killers, but we was going to the same tournaments: Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. We might go to Tennessee, but we never really went down south to none of these tournaments down here. None of the Boo Williams tournament, none of that. So I think our exposure was limited, and that played a big role into, you know, a lot of the schools that were recruiting us.
Right. One thing Laurel mentions, or us three have talked about, is the way Enrique's parents played the AAU, you know, system, so to speak. Her playing for North Tartan was so smart because North Tartan is going to all of these like elite tournaments, getting and seeing a lot of bigger teams or coaches and stuff like that. You know, in the Midwest, we don't have a lot of schools over here for real. And so a lot of people aren't really looking, but if we were, like Shug said, if we were going to other places, we would potentially see a lot more names, a lot more schools.
Thank you.
How did y'all support each other from playing with each other all your life? Now you're at different colleges. What was that? How did that, you know? How did y'all do that, man? Because it sound like, you know, with injuries and just, you know, not being excited for the school you was at, you know, it seemed like that y'all needed a lot of support.
Yeah. I remember Shug and them dropping me off at school and me just thinking, wow, it's really just me here, right? Like, I've only really been known as Shug and T, or T and Shug. So what is this new identity gonna be like, and what is my identity as a player myself? And so it just kind of looked like having to check in a lot. Shug was like there almost every day. Well, Shug was there every day the first time I tore my ACL. I mean, checking on me, getting me food, all of that, making sure I was okay, taking me as many places as I could go, being on crutches and everything like that, and trying to keep me active. Because, I mean, being in that state of your whole world being turned upside down. And I mean, it was my freshman year, and my freshman year didn't go well at Concordia. I mean, we were under 50. I'm not a loser, so I'm like, I don't even know what this is about. My team wasn't as dedicated as I expected them to be. You know, when you go into college your freshman year, all you know is loving basketball. So it's what? Freshman lead in the front, or point guards lead in the front, not the back. You know, you working. It's a bunch of running. It's a bunch of practice, whatever. And my team just wasn't as dedicated. And being a freshman, it's like, okay, like, how do I come in and like lead and not like step on people's toes, seniors and stuff like that? It was just tough, and I wanted out. I wanted to transfer so bad. I was actually about to transfer, and I ended up tearing my ACL right before I was like actually about to do it. And so that just like really shook things up. But if it wasn't for my parents, they came. I called them one night. They came. They got on the road, picked me up at like 6, 7 in the morning, got me into the doctors and everything. If it wasn't for them, Shug, just my family in general, like I probably would have lost my mind. Because I mean, I lost a big part of me for real, and I just wasn't expecting it, but it was probably the best because I gained a part of myself that I didn't know needed to be nurtured.
Now, the facts, that's the piece without me. I guess because I gained the same thing when you left, because that was the first time I had experienced life without my sister being right there by my side. The same school, we going to eat lunch together, we going home together, we going, you know what I mean? So I think that was our first chance at gaining our own independence from each other. And I mean, it was needed. And we knew right off bat that we weren't going to the same college. We didn't want to. We didn't always want to be known as T and Shug. We wanted to be known as individuals. And so, I mean, we were in constant contact with each other, calling and checking in on each other. Like she said, she tore her ACL. I was only an hour and a half away from home. So when I could come home on the weekends, I was coming home to, you know, keep her spirits up. Then I tore my ACL. Then she came to Chicago and she did the same thing for me. So, I mean, we sisters, you know what I mean? And we don't always be sisters. That bond is always going to be there. It really don't matter how far apart we are. If we need each other, we coming.
You ever seen the movie 6 Man?
Yes.
Oh.
It was like, I'm not in the sense of death. Come on now, don't stay with me. But it was a part of losing a part of you and looking on the court. That's kind of what y'all described. That's what I picture right away in my mind when you were saying that. You look at the court and be like, this where T usually would be at, and she not here.
It was different. It was so, even just my senior year in high school, not having her there, it was so different. I had to adjust my game to my now teammates because I didn't have a T on my team. I didn't have anybody that just knew what to do based off what I was doing. You know what I mean? Even though they were my teammates prior, they just weren't T.
Yeah.
And so I had to adjust my game. And even my freshman year in college, awful. We were terrible. And it was like nobody, I came from a winning team, a winning program, and they were not. And so I'm calling T, I'm like, dude, like, I'm not used to all this losing. Like, what am I supposed to take from this? What am I supposed to do with this? This is, I'm not a loser. This isn't, what I do. I win. Like, at Pius, I led and we won. That's what it was. And then I wasn't starting right away my freshman year in college, but I knew I should have been starting. And there were games we were losing, and I'm like, because we can't even get the ball past half court because they pressing because we don't have a point guard. I'm the only point guard on the team, and you got me on the bench. So I'm like, dude, what is she on? Like, why is she on that with me? So it was just, constant contact with each other and just picking each other up, encouraging each other. At that point, she had a little more experience than me in the college scene. So, just like I said, just encouraging me, giving me advice and, real life experiences and stuff she went through. So
it's a different animal, college. But my man, my boy, go ahead, man. We can't leave you out. We can't leave you out no longer.
You can't.
I can't.
Yeah.
I know you've been waiting on this too, man. Let's
Right.
go.
But yeah, thank y'all for coming on though, for sure. Y'all giving us a lot of great things because me and Mike, like as athletes, y'all telling everything that we talk about every time. Like, so to hear from y'all is great. But with myself, I'm gonna go back a little bit because I didn't watch y'all hoop since y'all was like little. So with cause y'all play with playground and I play with playground as well too. So we used to have like a lot of tournaments and y'all was on like basketball factory with Coach Money. So it's like, can y'all give us a knowledge with that? Like that's something I like to hear about. Either one of y'all can go.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sure.
I told you to go.
Oh, okay. So let me just make sure I'm getting your question right. So you're asking just about Money and like how he groomed us and things like that. Is that what you're elaborating?
Yeah, and basically just like the NBA, not NBA, but the AAU scene for girls for y'all.
Okay. For us, well, let me just break it down like this. Money, we met Money at POW, actually, on Burleigh in the new building, right? I'm dribbling the ball, and Money just comes up like, where are your parents? And I point them out. And next thing I know, next weekend, we're at a tournament at Pius trying out for the team. We make it. A couple other girls didn't. And that's where we met, me and Tynika and Suge all made the team at the same time. And then shortly after that, Deja Jenkins, Smith Jenkins. She's track. She went to UConn, but she could have definitely played basketball. She was a two-sport athlete. And so going from like little kids starting with DW Wildcats where, we were the smallest ones on the floor playing against Rachel Story, Serena, what's her name? Adams. What's her first name? Adams. Janelle. Lene Rash, all of them, we just wanted to like play and, kind of aspire to be them. Rachel was so cold to me. Rachel was probably like one of the coldest players I have ever played against or see play from the city. But the circuit, it was just small. It just seemed like it was kind of picking up. We were doing a lot of Chicago, Waukegan, what is that? What court is not Spiece? what's the court called? You know what I'm talking about, where they got the soccer field in there.
In Illinois.
The rock climbing, yep, in Illinois. I forgot the name of it, but that field house was dope. We definitely could use one of those in the city. I mean, we can all partner, you know, do some of them. But no, it just, money definitely brought something new. He knew how to get the right people on the team. He knew how to make the perfect teams. We ended up having like 3 or 4 16U teams because it was just that many girls that he had recruited, and he knew exactly who to coach who to be starting with one another. And I think we only had like maybe 8 or 9 players on each team, so everybody was getting good time. Everybody was able to do their thing. Money is actually very good at knowing his talent and knowing what situations to put them in and with who. And I love the network that he created with the Cleveland States. I want to say Marquette too. Marquette, UWM, of course, Madison. Like, he was out here networking, doing this thing. Money is called money for a reason. And so he was definitely finessing his ways into some things. So yeah, I definitely got to give it up to Money, and just like how he really put on for us, because it wasn't really a lot of big programs in the city. I mean, if you name some, you got Lakeside, you got for a little bit it was All Star. Who else do you have? Lady with the dreads, what is her name? This is so bad. Brittany Fair's mom.
Prestige, WBA.
Prestige, yeah, but that was kind of like later, but there just wasn't. That was a lot later, but there just wasn't much there, and Money really did his thing. So I'm super grateful for the program and all that he did and continues to do, honestly, because Playground is still a program to be a part of, and they've still been able to produce some killers. So yeah, Money and that whole program, just amazing. Amazing, great IQ.
You said Cleveland State too, so RIP Destiny Blue too. I just want to throw that out there.
Seriously,
yeah.
Seriously, that was a huge hit, huge hit. But she was good, a rim runner. I mean, I ain't never seen a big that would just run up and down the floor like that. That was just so dope. I loved watching them play. Her, PV, Terry Stamps. I mean, they were just the people to look up to for real, and just see what it looked like to play Ashley Burts. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. It goes on and on.
I think you hit the question right on the head. I don't really have to ask.
She did. What would you say, like, what advice would y'all give for, like, younger girls who are coming up now? Because it is kind of like the AAU circuit is growing now for girls. Like you said, it wasn't as many teams, and now, like, they got EYBL, and they got, like, way more programs and more stuff that's out there for girls to get, like noticed. Like, what advice or what would y'all give for the younger girls out there?
Honestly, it's gonna sound so simple, but it is so important. Stretch.
Oh,
take care of your body, because when you go back to our AAU days, we hopping out the car, driving from Milwaukee to Illinois at, getting there at 9 o'clock in the morning. We hopping right on the court, and then we playing basketball all day. And then we getting back in the car and driving back home, and then doing it again the next day. Like, you gotta take care of your body, because it catches up to you for real. And I think had I been taught how to properly take care of my body before college, even before high school, I think I could have prevented a lot of the injuries that I suffered through. That, and don't play through injuries. I think we get so caught up in, oh, you got to do it for your team. Be there for your teammates, play for your teammates. No, take care of your body, heal, and come back stronger, and then, take care of business. But because, man, it's so important. It really is.
Man, I'm glad you said that, because we did it, Mike. Everybody did it, and that hurt. And I think that do lead to like injuries and stuff. And that's where when you get to college, you like, man, it's those little things, and your coach wants you to keep playing, and you like, hey, like I can't. My body is done.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it's when I got to college, you know, I'm looking around at all the black kids on my team. We all just tight, and all the white girls is mad flexible, and I'm just like, how did this happen? Like, how are we this far behind? It like, how did this happen? Why is this a thing? But it's a noticeable thing. Like every black kid that came into our program in college, you could tell they did not stretch.
Mm-hmm.
You could just tell.
Foam rollers, resistance bands.
None of that.
None of it. I never heard of none of that until college.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Yes, yes, Uncle Rick. Yes, yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead, Money. We don't want to take away from you.
But I'm gonna jump a little ahead now. I mean, since y'all out of college, basically it's just about what like made y'all like change our mind about like basketball besides like the injuries. Like, did y'all ever think like, hey, like basketball wasn't the route to go of like pay wise? Did y'all ever think of like that, or y'all ever like sacrifice like, oh, like I'm really good on it. It's just I'm gonna just take my plan B. Like,
for me, that did tie into my decision to put the ball down, because it was like, yes, I love the game, I do, but do I love it this much to go this far overseas and play for this, away from my family? You know what I mean? When I could stay here and use one of my 2 degrees and make double that. You know what I'm saying? Do I love it this much to make this big of a sacrifice? And the answer was no, I did not. I made a lot of sacrifices in my life for the game. And at that point, it was like, I'm grown now. You know what I mean? It's time to start building. And this isn't a sacrifice I want to make anymore. It's just not. Let's do something else. Let's start building. Let's start making some real money. Because, I mean, the money they make over there, they make money. But to start off, it ain't no real money. And I'm making more. I can make more money with one of the degrees that I got for free and save my body. You know what I mean? So that definitely played a role in my decision.
Go ahead, T.
Money, back to your question before, what would I tell other young ladies? One, it would be do what you know you want to do, or like do the things that you see are for you. Friendships, relationships, working out. Like, don't just go with what everybody else is doing. Focus on your goal. Focus on the things that you know, like, make you happy, and cultivate like your vision. It's easy to get distracted with your teammates because you're having fun. But at the end of the day, not everybody is going to the same places. And so you got to stay focused, buckle down, relax, and focus on your goal and bring that to fruition. So just do you essentially. Get to know you too before you just kind of like hop into what everybody else is doing. But the next question with professional basketball, I honestly had never thought about playing professionally. I actually never recognized how good I was until now. And which is crazy because, I mean, me and Suge have kind of been getting like the hype and the buzz and everything since we were kids. I mean, we've been signing autographs since POW. And I just never thought I was that good. I just was playing. And so now when I think about it, it's like, if I would have focused, not even just focused, but just knew what it was that I had that was so natural and nurtured it a little more, I think I would have went to that level. Now basketball is something that is unfinished for me, and to play professionally is actually still on my radar. What that looks like, I'm not quite sure. But I know it's still there. I know it still makes me happy, and it doesn't feel like a job like it once did. I know my body is a little different, just that I'm a little older now, but I know what to do to get my body back, meaning stretching, yoga, eating properly. Us athletes we didn't know how to eat. I mean, we would eat Wendy's before the game and a banana or something in between games, and that would be it. But knowing how to eat properly, how to hydrate, not just drinking Gatorade and stuff, it's just different ways to do things. But yeah, basketball is still on my radar. What that looks like, again, I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely something that's still there because it has to be finished. It has to be finished.
But yeah, I got one more question. We can go ahead and wrap it up after that. This one is more just because as athletes, we all it took us a lot of places, and we made a lot of connections of friends and all over. Like, can y'all talk about that? Like how it molded y'all and helped y'all become as women today?
With and without basketball. Okay, with basketball, you automatically get your friends, right? Because they're your teammates. Y'all do everything together. Y'all going to lunch together. Y'all going to the same tournaments, et cetera, et cetera. So you start to figure out kind of what it looks like to have a friendship or a strong relationship. But without basketball, after I tore my ACLs, I realized, man, I don't really know how to make friends for real. All my friends were on my team or from the block, people I played with, people I've seen in the circuit. So it made me develop real social skills and learn how to network. But at the same time, I still use my contacts from people that I've known since 4th and 5th grade that can get me to the places that I need to get to or talk to the people that I need to talk to. So one thing I know for sure is nurture the relationships that you have, cherish them, and use them as much as possible. I mean, I still have our best friend, Daisha. We've known her since 3rd grade, 3rd or 4th grade. And so, yeah, the friendships, the family, the memories is something that I will cherish forever.
Definitely. Just piggyback off what she said about the whole making friends thing. That's how it was when I graduated from college. I got out into the real world, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I actually know how to make friends. I've never really had to do this. People, they were just my friends. They were my teammates, or they already knew me, and they just wanted to be my friend because they knew who I was. And so it was almost like basketball kind of crippled us in a sense in our social skills. And so we had some catching up to do once we got out of that. But I'm forever grateful for basketball and what it's done for me. I met people from all over the world. I have teammates from Serbia, from England, from Paris, all type of different places, just sharing their experiences, and it gives you a new outlook on life, honestly. Basketball has taken me different places. And I felt like I used basketball for what it was supposed to do for me, honestly. And in a sense, it almost used me a little bit, but I used it as well. And I'm reaping the rewards and the benefits still to this day. And with my degrees, nobody can take that away from me. I got 2 degrees for free. After that, honestly, so many people can't say that they left college debt free.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing.
The blessing.
Exactly. It's a blessing. And I'm forever grateful, so grateful that the basketball was ever put in my hand and that it was nurtured and that I kept doing it for so long. And then I think that's why I'm so at peace with it, because I got so much from it. It was nothing else left for me to get, honestly. I had nothing else to prove or nothing else to get.
You squeeze that joint, huh?
I did. I had
every drip. I love it. I love it. One more thing I want to add, even going back to our state championship run, our team chemistry was just off the charts. There's only like one other team that I can say I jammed with like that. I mean, from defense to offense, like we just were like a string pretty much. And like that's like a coach's dream, right? To have, you know, if one person goes here, the other person slides over. You want this to be like a string, right? That's what they tell you. Yeah, to be able to see what that looks like, what it looks like to have a team that vibes with each other on and off the court is something that you can take into the real world, into the business sector, into families. You can take that just about anywhere. Teamwork truly does make the dream work. And that was actually one of our quotes on the back of one of our shirts in high school. And that teamwork is essentially what got us the state championship. It's what got all of us exposure. I think today's basketball is very one-on-one and it's unrealistic. I just don't know a lot of teams that win championships that way. Does it happen? For sure. Is it regular or the norm? I don't think so. But that teamwork, knowing that you have somebody else that has your back, knowing that you have other people to carry the weight. Nobody should have to carry the weight themselves. So yeah, us being able to piggyback off of each other and then off of other players is what got us that championship and what got us all to other levels. Our championship year, we were able to get our whole starting five had D1 offers. And not even just from basketball. We had a girl getting a D1 offer for rowing. Right? Like, and she had never rowed before. They were just like, we like her build, her athleticism, and they saw her because we were at state. That's how they recruited her. And so, yeah, you know, us being able to be at that level, you just never know who you're carrying with you and who is getting blessed because you're in the right position. So I'll leave that there.
Listen, we got 2 more questions and the ladies gonna wrap up the show. We've been grooving. Like we really almost at our time. Like I know I'm gonna hear some but I'm gonna tell the listeners right now, if you listen to these next 2 questions, if you listen to this, you won't be disappointed because it's gonna even show further the intellectual capacity that these young women have. So bear with us. Here we go. The first one is, and we kind of talked about this, T. So we kind of took away the thunder, but nonetheless, no worries. It's so real. All this stuff that's happening, we kind of talk about it a little bit. Powell was very influential. You guys kind of brought it up too. You know what it did, and that's the Police Academy League, for people that don't know. Your dad is in law enforcement, all right? And with all this stuff that happened, usually people don't understand the person. They see the profession, you know, and a lot of people tend to F all cops or forget all cops. So, you know, but I know both of you have that mental capacity to want to stick up for your people. So how do you guys do that with social justice and movements around it? But also, how did y'all be like, but that's my dad. Like, I got to make sure he good too with all that's going on. So go ahead.
Sugar, I'll let you start with this one.
Okay. Well, so Pops is retired now. I'll say that. He's been retired for 2 years now. But I can see that for him, he's a Black man first. So he understands the struggles. He gets it. But on the other side, it's hard for him to not see it from a law enforcement point of view. And that's where I help him. I help him with that. For me, right is right and wrong is wrong. So I'm like, well, no, they were wrong. So we have these dialogues all the time. We have these conversations about different things. And I say my point of view, he says his, but at the end of the day, for me, I'm with the people and he knows that and he's okay with that. And he's like, you know, I'm really proud of, you know, the people in your age group and for what they're doing right now and for standing up and protesting, and they're still protesting and, you know, doing what's right. And so he sees it, and I think it's just a certain mindset they all have, in law enforcement. And I think he's slowly coming out of that. Because one thing about it is, I'm like, Pops, at the end of the day, yes, you had a badge, even when you did have a badge. But at the end of the day, you were a Black man. And they, you know what I mean? So if you weren't on the clock or in uniform, you are just a Black man. And so you are subject to the same things that these men, women, and children, and me and T, your kids, Laurel, we're subject to the same things that these people are going through. And that's just real, honestly. So like I said, I stand with the people, regardless of what, you know, my dad's occupation is or was. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And that's where I'm at with it.
As you were speaking, I thought of the night that Sherman Park, when after Seville got shot by that one police officer, and they started burning down the gas station and the bank and things of that nature, and how we were just kind of shaken up because our dad had to go down there and kind of, you know, regulate the situation along with the other police officers. And so the two sides of that is like, yes, I understand the rage and the anger. And at the same time, these are still people that have to kind of go home to their families and are still expected to come home to their families, care for their families. Like, these are still people that are loved. Now, on the side of, let's talk about George Floyd and that situation. My father and I stayed on the phone for about an hour just in silence. And like, we'd have a couple things to say, but for the most part, we were silent because it was just so heavy. And just seeing like the man just on his neck, like hands in his pocket, just like, it was cool, or it was normal. But one thing that my parents, we all talked about is how in law enforcement, no one talks about the mental health of these officers who go day in and day out, year after year after year, 30 years in, and see death, who see body mutilation, who see parents killing their children, torturing their kids. I mean, my father has seen so many things, kids, like 2-year-old babies that have been killed, 2 kids being ran over, parents shooting their kids at their own birthday parties and then killing themselves. You know, just like, how do you not take that home with you? How do you get off work and act like it didn't happen? And so not only are you dealing with that, but then you're dealing with the ideas of being a man. And, you know, we have in society, men don't cry, men don't show emotion. Bull. That's bull. So I just think that we have to take that into account too. And these police officers need help mentally. Bro was gone while he was on George Floyd. Like, he was not there. Like, if you look into his eyes, he has left. That man was numb. And I'm not saying this is to that's not an excuse for what he did, but it's just like, bro was not there at all. He needed help a long time ago. And so there needs to be help with them emotionally, mentally, for the things that they see, and it needs to be normalized for them to be able to go in and get the help that they need. And there needs to be some kind of training for de-escalating situations. There's just a lot that can be done and should be done, not only for the safety of the people, but also the safety of the officers that have to deal with the things that they deal with on a day-to-day.
Nice. Whew. All right. And the second one. All right. We seen, I think 2 days ago, all the orange hoodies being worn. And that's to show the solidarity of standing with the WNBA for their season starting. All the dudes wore their orange hoodies. You had everybody wearing the orange hoodies to show support and things like that. Then you see even in society, you see videos of girls getting, you know, things happening and guys just kind of looking, you know, like nobody's standing up, you know, so, you know, from your experiences, how can sons, you know, other sons that hear this, just support women in sports or women in the profession with the way we're going on with the world?
today I saw.
Your brother probably really set a good example of what that's like. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Laurel had a bust a ASS mentality. So we just like playing. Like, okay, you feel this way, all right, I'm gonna make you feel different by killing you, basically. Like, I'm finna get buckets right now just so we can shut down all this noise. Today though, I was on Facebook and I saw somebody, there was a tweet from an NBA, a WNBA player, or Andre Iguodala tweeted, I forgot her name. And she was like, basically put some respect on my name, like, look me up, because he was like, number 23, got some game, whatever. And somebody had said, you know, basically what they can never, they always asking for something, or it's never enough to give a compliment, and blah, 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 blah. And my thing is, there is always so much scrutiny coming towards these professional players, and the fact that because they're women, and I don't know, because they're women, the game isn't as fun, or like they don't deserve the pay that they deserve, or I don't know what it is. It's just a lot of hate, and it's from people that have never played the game. And that's what really kills me. That's what, like, you have no idea what it looks like to play at such a high level, and people think that it's boring because it's not like the show, the Duncan, all of that. Like, yo, they are so fundamentally sound, the IQ to know like how to move, when to move, et cetera, to know the game at that level is, you got to respect it. But only real players know that. Only people that have actually played organized basketball know what real basketball looks like. And so just like the criticism that they get, it makes me cringe. And then it's like, do I even want to get into this debate with you? And it's like, no, because I know I'm arguing with a fool, because you've never played. I know you've never played. I know you've only hooped on at McGov or at the Y or some church pickup league. No, I'm not finna have this debate with you, because I could probably bust you right now, you know, let alone them. So I just think they should have the respect, just as a doctor would get the respect that they deserve, just as a lawyer who's done all the work, just as an NBA player gets the respect that they deserve. Just because somebody doesn't get the views that you think they should get, doesn't mean that they haven't worked, doesn't mean that they don't deserve the or didn't work for the space that they're in. So yeah, just I think people should do their due diligence and not just criticize these people just because they're women and just because not a lot of people are at these games. But if you really look, the WNBA, first of all, has only been around for 10 years. Not that long, 10 or 20 years, something like that. Still not that long. Not as long as the NBA. The NBA has been around for how many years? You feel me? So this is still like an early investment. If the WNBA and NBA really wanted to talk money, nobody talks about the fact that the Pistons or the Nets, or actually it's like 14 out of the 50 teams are actually losing money, and the players are still getting 50% of the profits. But when it comes to the WNBA, they're like, oh, but the WNBA is losing money. I doubt it. They're actually not even reporting. There's no like real reports out there to say how much the WNBA is getting. You got to look at these $50 million endorsement deals with ESPN, Tidal, Twitter, you know, just all HuffPost, Forbes, just the people that want to have their names just on the court, whatever. You have to look at all of this. And some people or some teams, the Lynx, the Mercury, are selling out arenas. So it's not the fact that the money isn't there. It's just that I don't think they really want to give them the money like they should. And on top of that, they just need to, the NBA should double down on their investment, get the marketing back up. I mean, they've already turned around profits, so why not continue to just put money back into the program? So that's that was kind of long, but I had to because people have just been kind of going crazy on the WNBA, and I just don't think it's fair for the level of good basketball that we're seeing. And if Kobe can recognize it, Kobe, come on, you gotta say so. That says something.
Big sis scored all the points, so we ain't got to.
I was gonna ask you to ask the question again.
My bad.
No, I got it. What do you think young men can do just to, support young women in their professional careers, just to help make sure that they get to where they're trying to go as well?
Just like T said, do their due diligence. I think there's a misconception with women's basketball. Like she said, that it is so many things boring and it's not entertaining because they don't. Women's basketball, if you sit and watch a women's basketball game, it'll be some of the best basketball that you watch. But only real basketball people and people that know the game can appreciate that. People want to be entertained with sports. It's not even for so much as, watching a good game. They want to see the dunk and they want to see the ridiculous 3-point shots and all that. And you might get some of that because there's some players, they got that in their arsenal and they can do that. But it's few and far between. But if you sit and watch it, women's basketball is very methodical, honestly. It is. And yeah, you're not gonna get all the athleticism, but so what? But so, like I said, I think so many people just want to be entertained that they lose track of the fact that this isn't really about entertaining you. Like, this is our job, and so the point is to win the game. And so this is what we're gonna do to win this game. So I think it's just doing your due diligence and just seeing women. Honestly, I think it kind of boils down to a bigger conversation as just why aren't women seen in their professions? Because if you look at, even a woman doctor or woman lawyer, there's always criticism about that too. So I think it's honestly a bigger conversation as to why women are seen as less in these fields as compared to men.
All right. I told you, if you stayed for the bonus coverage, you wasn't gonna be disappointed. You hit it. Ladies, do you feel like the Listen to Them podcast is good? We can change lives.
Definitely. I enjoyed this.
Yes. And definitely y'all helped out our platform tremendously because, now it's going to be a new audience and it's the intellectual capacity, like I said, which your ladies talk is just brilliant. So we appreciate it. If you guys want to wrap up the show with the listen, where we go with money? Listen
parents.
Listen parents, right?
Listen.
Yep. Listen daughters,
girls,
listen parents.
whatever.
I got 2 ways to do it. Listen parents, listen young ladies out there. So if one hit on the parents so much that the other ain't got nothing to say, you can go listen young ladies. So bring us home, man. This is y'all killed this. So bring it on home. Whoever wants to
go first.
You want me to go first?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll go with listen parents. So listen parents. Foster all of your kids' talents. Even if they're really good at one thing, foster each talent. You don't want one-dimensional children because what happens is if that one thing doesn't work out, they're stuck. You always want your kids to feel like they have options in life and you don't want them in a box. So give them options and, like I said, foster each talent, whatever that talent is, and give them the outlet to express the different things that they may be interested in. And foster that, honestly. Otherwise, you have one-dimensional children. And I think that's dangerous, honestly. Anybody that's one-dimensional, I feel like is dangerous. You don't want anybody to grow up and just be good at one thing. So.
I'm gonna go. Can I go listen kids and not just girls? Cool. Listen kids. Take the time to enjoy where you are. Take the time to see the lessons, even if you don't see them right away. take the time to envision where it is that you want to be. Take the time to listen, you know, and not just to your teammates or the people left and right, because y'all are on the same level, y'all are on the same playing field, right? But listen to the people that are above you, right? Listen to the ones that have kind of actually fallen off. Look at their mistakes, right? And see what it is that you could do to move past that point. And then listen to the ones that have gone further and see what you can do to go even like just more beyond them. But take the time to be okay with where you are. Take the time to see where it is that you want to be, and take the time to see the people around you and how you can move past anything that they've already been through.
Thanks once again, my fraternity and sorority of listeners of Listen Son podcast. Please, women and men, please like, subscribe, and share. Continue to support our goals to connect untold special real life stories.